Everybody. Just touching base to make sure that we're all on the same page. I have completed the review grading of your papers, your drafts that you've turned in, and I just want to make sure that you have some clarity so that you, as you're working on them through the next part of this week, you are good to go. Everyone's will be in my mailbox first thing in the morning on Monday, so please stop by and take a look at them. I've brought up on my paper here a screen so that you can see what's supposed to be happening. The paper at this point in time should be one paper that flows all the way together. There shouldn't be cover pages or stop gaps for each and every section. So you will have one title page. It will then, you'll hit, to the next page. The second page will be your abstract. You'll hit page end, and you can go to the first page of your actual writing. The actual writing of your page will include the introduction. It will go into a literature review. It will then go straight into methodologies. And this paper that you turned into me this week should have included your reference page. The thing that's really important to understand is that I have no copies of previous papers. I've never thought to save them. Every student has sort of kept them and taken them to their next school. The thing that if the format is confusing you, it's the actual format that we have used or that you have read in every single peer-reviewed journal article that you've gotten. So let's first just take a look at this. What I'm showing you is an experimental paper from the APA manual. You can use Purdue OWL, or you can take a look at APA manual, or you can Google any research article using APA format, and they all have the same sort of outline. So if you take a look at this first thing that I'm showing you is that we have the running header and the page number. So we've learned how to do this last week. If you're still having trouble, I'm happy to help you. You've got to stop in my office. So we have the actual title page, what's going on there, what's happening. The next page then is the abstract. At this point in time, the author's note is not anything that we're going to do on the title page. The author's note states that you are not getting paid by anybody to do this, et cetera, and we won't do that at this point in time. We'll add information at the end of your review. So then what happens is we get right in to the actual part of your paper. So for us, in this case, we will take a look at it will say the effects of whatever the title of your paper is, and then you will write introduction. So you'll begin writing the introduction. This little format here is showing you all the ways in which you actually do the correct parenthetical citations and making sure that you're including those in there and what's happening. Then you go on to, and you would literally go to, from the introduction to the literature review. After you get to the literature review, your literature review is the meat and potatoes of this paper. When I keep saying that somebody has 120 pages, 100 pages of that is literally text. So keeping in mind that you'll have 6 pages of references, you'll have all of these different aspects. The thing to keep in mind is that your introduction is the fluff, the fun, the thing that makes me want to read it. You start with a grabber, give some background information, a little bit about what made you want to do this study. You write your thesis statement, and then you sort of give us a preview of what those 3 strands or the 3 things or the supports that you're going to be talking about in your literature review. You end with a 3 to 5 sentence summary about what's going to happen, and then go right into your literature review. From your literature review, you have those 3 strands, each of which you are supposed to have 4 peer-reviewed journal articles to support that strand. So some of you may be defining or explaining certain parts of your strand. That's great. And you may have other sources in addition to your 4 peer-reviewed. That's fabulous. In some cases, what is traditional weightlifting for Russell? That would mean that we would be looking that up in a textbook, probably. You may have websites that are supporting your thoughts, and maybe you're defining and describing things with literally an encyclopedia. So those are things that you would use to support that. But you have a minimum of 4 sources for each strand. As you go through that in your writing, consider each strand or each topic that you're covering something that will be probably around 300 to 400 words. So after you've put all of your strands together and they flow nicely, you will then write a conclusion paragraph, taking everything and all the topic material that is vital for the next thing, and you make that the conclusion. So that would be a standalone research paper if you had to turn that into an instructor for something. Ours then does not stop there. It goes into next methodology. So from the methodology, these are the things that we have already done. If you take a look at one of the research articles that we can bring up from the library, I will show you that when you're looking at methodology, this should not be something that is so difficult. We want to write it in a solid scientific form. It won't have a lot of flowery fluff, but you will actually literally talk about what it is that you're doing. For many of you, we have to talk about how your subjects came about. For others, we have to talk about how your survey came about. We will then include in here the analysis of what you did and how you did your correlations. And again, I understand that that's above your pay grade, so I've promised to help everybody. What measures you're using, and then what statistical analysis you're using. So that's how that paper goes into effect. The next thing then that you will do is you will write the results. The results are literally the scientific data, the stuff that you derived from taking your information and putting it through whatever the analysis process was. So in this case, these results all listed here include everything that you can imagine from all the statistical analysis. They have tables and graphs, and these are things that we haven't learned yet because we did the speech portion. So then after that, you go into discussions. We'll talk about the discussions, and that's where you take the information that you got statistically and you write it into some sort of, here's what the study was supposed to do, here's what we've come to, here's what we've derived at, some of these results, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. And you will start to see that they come in different sections and they're broken up because of the way that maybe you asked the questions, or perhaps it was because of the themes that you found when doing your analysis. And so this is not, there's no one way to do this, but this is sort of all the fun. This is taking everything that you've studied and the things that you thought you've known, you put it through a statistical analysis, and now all of a sudden this is what really has come true. And so this is the interesting part of the study and what happens and how everything goes on. So then the next part is you will see that there's conclusions. And from that, after the discussion, there's some conclusions. All right, why do you think this happened? What's going on? And how can we control for it, and what might happen after that? The next thing after the conclusions would be next steps, further studies, and what did this study do? And so those are the things that we will include. This reference sheet looks nothing like yours will look, again, because it's in a journal. But all of this is one product, one page, all the way put together. You will see here then is that there's the appendix. So each and every one of you folks, I've said, okay, I will have appendix. Your appendix will be a variety of things, and each of you has something unique. There's no one way to do this paper. There's just a guiding outline format, but each and every person's may look slightly different and have slightly different requirements. So if you say, well, this person isn't doing that, they might not have to, simply because of the way that they're doing it. So in this case, this is the survey that they used, and they did not include the actual replies or responses or any data analysis paperwork or anything. We do. All of that gets put into your final project. which is what keeps making it building into this monster. So appendix are important to keep in mind. Okay, so I'm in the office all week and I'm happy to help. So stop by, see what you can gather. Thanks. Have a good day.